Oh, no. He's got that look. What type of look? The look of, I'm just gotten into a new anime and I want to share it all the world due to the fact that it's popular. Oh boy. Do you think we should do anything to stop him? No, just let it run its course. And just brace yourself for whatever madness may come. Hello and welcome back to Panda Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the pony fics that are not pony related. Why? Uh, because the season finale is tomorrow and I might not be able to catch it as it airs. Oh well, a con is a con sometimes. So, why am I so excited? Well, I just got into this awesome anime known as RWBY, and that's what Monty Allen wants it to be. And out of respect, I will call it an anime for a bit. And I've been really enjoying myself. Well, I'll admit it wasn't as good as the first until it gets into the second season. The first one actually did do a good job of setting everything up. I get into watching seasons 1 and 2 of Babylon 5. Season 1 sets everything up. Then season 2 makes you go, oh hell yes, I love this show. So I figured that for today, in order to honor my newfound love for this series, I might as well read a Halloween-centric fic starring these 4 girls, mainly because I do want to practice reading for all 4 of them. And with the power of Google, I happened to find one. So, stay here as we hear the Berry Memorial Library proud to present Ghost Stories by Oh, for crying out loud! One normal name! One more normal name! That's all I ask! By Momoxtoshiro. Good. Ghost Stories by Momoxtoshiro. Chapter 1, only chapter. The room was dark, shrouded in shadows in every crevice, all except for one spark of light. In the center of the room burned a lone flame, flickering inside a glass container as it gradually ate away the wax it rested on. The covers from the haphazardly placed bunk beds had been removed from their mattresses and were now hanging in between the beds to form a canopy. Within the fort sat the little candle, surrounded by 4 girls huddled close together in pairs on either side. Yang suggested to tell scary stories that evening had been immediately accepted by her partner and sister, and with a little understanding, a certain heiress had agreed to the idea as well. Or rather, she tried to ignore the rest of them for as long as she could. Could find nothing else to occupy herself to like of lighting. It was eventually coaxed into the tent of blankets. At present, she sat in her sleepwear, leaning back against her bed and rolling her eyes, as her leader ranted on about whatever so-called scary stories he was telling next. And the next morning, Ruby said in a husky voice, the girl woke up with a creepy feeling in her throat. And then, when she looked into a mirror, her mouth opened slightly, and then, she paused for drama, a whole swarm of spiders started crawling out of her mouth. Ruby, don't. Spiders! Ruby screamed again in response to Weiss's comment. Ignoring the heiress's warning, Ruby proceeded to creep her fingers along Weiss's shoulder in a spider-like motion. Ruby! Weiss shrieked, smacking her hand away and more frantically than she intended. Sorry. She glad to see her drew her hand. Maybe she wouldn't do it so often if your reaction wasn't so priceless. Yank was snickering from her position across from them, slapping her knee with one hand, wiping tears with the other. Even Blake turned her head sideways to stifle a chuckle. Yes, very funny, Red. Weiss snorted, having to resort to calling Ruby by her many nicknames in her begrudging mood. But I thought the whole point of this whole idea was to tell scary stories. I've yet to hear one thing to even get me interested. Okay, I've got one. Yang raised her hand eagerly, nearly taking down the fort as he struck one of the blankets. Oops! Anyway, this one will knock your socks off, princess. She smirked in the dim lighting. Okay, here goes. Once upon a time... Is this going to be another Walt fairy tale? The heiress sighed heavily. No! Yang puffed out one cheek. This one's actually scary. Okay, so once upon a time there was this princess. Don't worry, it's not you, princess. She said aside to Wise. Anyway, there was this princess, right? And she lived in the woods. She liked to sing, always talking to the animals and stuff. Then, one day, a witch comes to visit her in disguise as a poor old lady selling apples. The princess brought one of the apples from the old lady, but she didn't know she was a witch. And when she bit into the apple, it was poisoned. And the princess fell asleep. Forever! I forget how it goes. Yang trailed off, mumbling to herself as Ruby let out a hopeless sigh. Seriously? Weiss grunted. That wasn't even remotely scary. I thought it was so pitchy that it hadn't almost me falling asleep. I mean, don't even get me started on your storytelling style. Hey, Weiss! Ruby gasped. You didn't eat any apples today, did you? Weiss flicked her forehead. Meanwhile, Blake was offering her constructive criticism to her partner. I think you got a few things mixed up, she informed Yang, and just totally left out some other things and made some things up. Gah! I know! Yang grabbed two fistfuls of her messy blonde hair and summoned forward. I give up! I bestowed the duty of scaring Weiss out of her socks onto you, Blakey. Huh? Her black bow twitched once. Oh, I'll do my best. Blake shifted again, folding her legs underneath her as she sought out a more comfortable position. Her momentary silence was just perfect enough to start building a bit of drama. And once the rest of her teammates leaned closer to listen, she cleared her throat. Once, there was a woman who wore a red ribbon around her neck all the time. Everybody knew her because of her peculiar accessory. She wasn't particularly odd, as many might have assumed, but she was very passionate about her ribbon. Sometimes a curious child would come up to her and ask to remove the ribbon, but she would always refuse. One day, a certain man fell in love with the woman. Smitten with her and the mysteries behind that ribbon she wore, she asked her out and they began dating. They soon fell in love, and after they dated for a few months, the man decided to go out and buy her something. He always wished to know why she kept the red ribbon around her neck, and was eager to have her removed it. He thought that buying her a lovely necklace would bring her to finally remove the ribbon. So he purchased the most expensive necklace he could find and offered to her. Although she was thrilled by the act, she still refused to remove the ribbon. Frustrated, the man continued to try and persuade her, but he just kept shaking her head. Finally, the man's resolve just snapped, and he reached forward, grabbing the end of the ribbon. He pulled it off, and along with it came the woman's head, which rolled away, and shouted, I warned you. There was another moment of silence as Blake finally sat back against her bed. She brought a hand to her chest and caught a flail, not used to speaking so much at one time. I'm sorry it wasn't very good. I've never... She stopped talking as he glanced up to take in the expression of the other girls' faces. They looked creeped out. Wow! Ruby blinked in the darkness. That was really spooky, actually. Now that was a very tall, scary story. Weiss commented Blake, hugging her arms around her as she suppressed a slight shiver. I'll say, Yang added in, I've still got the heebie-jeebies. She said, ugh, remind me never to write anything without having you look over it first. Also, if you could never write anything anyway, Weiss muttered. Hey, that's... That's so true. Yang sorried. Well, Ruby spoke up. Well, Blake's story was certainly the scariest we've heard all night. I would like to point out that white socks are still on, she announced. To prove her point, she reached down and pressed her fingers over her partner's unguarded ankle. Weiss jolted for an instant before smacking her head away tinily. Yang sat back with a thoughtful expression. Well then, princess, why don't you give it a shot? It might be a better idea than letting this dunce go again, Deirdre muttered, jabbing her thumb at Ruby. She then straightened up, clearing her throat meaningfully as the others got to hear her story. Once, there was a little girl who was too hyperactive for her own good. Let's call her Red, she decided. Hey! Ruby whined. Is this going to be about... Of course it's not. It's just a coincidence, Weiss told her. Now then, as I was saying, the girl named Red was on her way to bring her sister some snacks. But as she blundered through the forest, she was so loud and obnoxious that a Beowulf heard her. He followed her, and just before she reached her sister's house, the Beowulf ate her. Weiss saw back with a small huff. Ruby wondered piously. Wow, Yang snorted. Talk about bad storytelling.
It wasn't very developed,
Blake noted. Oh, stop it! Weiss waved her hand dismissively. Of course that wasn't my best attempt. I was just trying to prove a point. That you suck at storytelling, Yang guessed.
Wait,
Blake interjected before Weiss could make a comeback.
I think you're forgetting about the ending of the story.
She prompted Yang to look towards her leader. Ruby was hugging her knees to her chest and pouting.
Why do I have to get eaten?
Yang comprehended Blake's attention and smirked. Ah, right. Why did you leave out the ending, princess? What are you talking about? That was... I mean, the real ending. Yang cut her off. What? Weiss glanced around at her teammates before she finally rejected her gaze on her dejected leader. Oh, fine, she sighed. I'll tell you the real ending. Ruby seemed to perk up a bit at her words and directed her attention back to Weiss, who continued. Even after she'd been eaten, Red still continued to talk loudly in a hyperactive way from the Beowulf's belly. She was so loud that her voice attracted the attention of a wandering princess. Weiss supervised. The princess followed the sound of Red's annoyed, distinct voice until she found the Beowulf. She cut open his belly with her sword and Red was freed. The end. She finished ungracefully. But even so, Ruby's mood has been lifted immensely.
Oh, what a good ending!
She squealed delighted. Then she threw her arms around the heiress's shoulders.
Thanks for saying it, Weiss.
Well, I didn't. Weiss toppled over onto the ground, with her leader smothering her. It was just a story. Now get off me! Well, Yang said, you could have said it was a knight in shining armor who came to save her. But you said princess. Right, princess?
Stop feeding into this!
Weiss shrieked. Ruby, get off! Alas, she successfully managed to throw her partner off. But Ruby was hardly fazed by the action. She was still smiling giddily.
But Weiss,
she said, giggling.
If something like that ever happened to me, you definitely come to save me, right?
She grinned, nudging the heiress with her elbow. Then, obviously. Weiss huffed under her breath. But when she realized that Yang and Blake were giving her amused glances over the candlelight, Weiss hastily yet. I mean, of course I had to rescue you, since you're such a child.
Thanks, Weiss.
Ruby clapped her hands together. But if you hug me one more time, I swear I'm going to be the one feeding you to the Beowulf. Got it?
Right, right.
Earlier saying, though she had not heard a word. Thanks to the snickers and distinctive voices, their other teammates kept flashing them. Weiss made sure to sit an extra few sentences away from Ruby as they continued their storytelling. All right. Who's next? Yang wondered.
Oh!
Ruby waved her hand enthusiastically.
I know one!
Weiss rolled her eyes a little aside, but inclined her head nonetheless. Ruby then proceeded to attempt another scary story. Most obviously, she never rehearsed her telling the tale, or was simply making it up on the spot, for her delivery was unbelievably choppy. Her elders dreaded the rest of the endeavor. Okay. Nice try, sis. Yang waved her hand, indicating for Ruby to stop. But rather than scaring us, you're confusing us.
As if you were any better.
Ruby stuck her tongue out.
Yeah, I guess telling stories is my thing.
She scratched her head sheepishly.
It's probably best to just leave it up to Blake.
She stepped back as he handed the role of storyteller over to the onyx-haired girl. Her eyes seemed more lively now. There's a faint sparkle in her golden irises that suggested how much fun she was having as he began.
Once, there were two girls, roommates. One was studious and very serious about her work, while the other was less focused and merely wanted to have fun. One night, the fun-loving girl went out to party, whereas the studious girl stayed home to prepare for the exam the next day. The party lasted all night, and when the carefree roommate came back, she found the lights were off in her room. Not wanting to wake her roommate, she fumbled around the dark until she found her bed and crawled in. She thought she heard the floor creaking, but was too tired to concern herself with it, and soon fell asleep.
The other three were entranced, tilting their heads softly as Blake continued.
The next morning, the girl who stayed out all night partying woke up late. It was so strange, considering her roommate would always wake her up on time for classes, especially when there was an exam. When she got up, she noticed her roommate was still lying in the bed and wondered if she was sick. But when she went over to check, she discovered her roommate's body was drenched in blood, her jaw hanging slack in a silent scream, her eyes glazed over. The girl screamed as she fell back, and only then did she notice the messes on the window, written in her friend's blood. Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?
Somewhere, Nora, who's overhearing this story through the door, immediately runs back to her bedroom and keeps a close eye on Pyrrha just to make sure she's okay. Sadly, she woke up Pyrrha too early, and Pyrrha made Nora pay with a pillow in the face. Thank you. Silence ensued as Blake sat back again, silently glancing out to her surgery access of her roommates. Yang was the first to regain her voice. So, her roommate was murdered? She gulped.
So that was why she heard the floor creaking?
Ruby was clinging tightly onto Weiss's arm, but for once, the heiress had no tart remarks to offer to shoo her away.
Exactly, Blake confirmed. If she had turned on the light on when she arrived home, she would have seen the murder taking place, and the murderer would have noticed her and killed her too.
John had also heard this story and also ran to make sure that Ren was okay. Ren proceeded to hit John with a pillow and then turned him into a pretzel. Thank you.
Wow, Ruby shivered. That's really scary.
I think we've had enough scary stories for one night. Yang laughed nervously as he stretched her legs out. You really have a talent for telling them, don't you, Blakey?
Perhaps.
Blake allowed herself to feel a little smug. Well, that was fun. Yang went on. I'll get the lights so we can put our beds back together. Yet as she said this, Weiss, who remained stone as then, started, What did you say? I said I'm going to turn on the... Yang stopped and smirked. Ho ho! It seems we successfully frightened the princess, she announced. Ruby was still clutching the heiress's arm, only just now realized how petrified her partner was. What? Weiss stammered. That's not it. I'm just saying we don't need to turn on the lights for something like that. Oh? Yang leaned in closer to her. Then I suppose it would be better if we just made it completely dark. With a devil's smirk, she blew out the candle. Their only source of light. Rice let out a faint shriek. Don't! Without realizing what she was doing, she returned Ruby's clinging tenfold onto her ear. Rice? Ruby chuckled. Jeez, I didn't think you'd get that scared. I got scared. Her voice rose as it cracked a little. I just... Okay. Yang's amused voice sounded from in front of them as the light rustling was heard. 9 minutes later, the lights were turned on, filling the room with a calming glow.
Here, it's all good, see?
Ruby patted Weiss's shoulder. Of course it is, you dunce! The heiress snapped as she immediately separated herself from her partner. I was never scared in the first place! The two sisters chuckled.
We never asked if you were.
Your words aren't matching your actions, Weiss. And hush! Weiss growled, gripping her bed for support as she tried to steady her shaky legs. Ruby got up as well, and the four of them began disassembling the fort of blankets, returning the covers to the appropriate beds.
Hey,
Blake made her way to Weiss.
I'm sorry if I freaked you out with that story.
Don't be stupid, Weiss mumbled. It wasn't that scary. You just told it so well that I got contemplated for a minute. Right, Yang said doubtfully as she slung her arm around Blake's shoulders. Well, you're totally right about Blakey and telling it so well.
I say that was a pretty successful obsession, ladies, Ruby declared with her hands on her hips. It's getting late now, so let's get to bed!
The others agreed, and Ruby and Yang hoisted themselves up onto their top bunks, wishing their partners good night. Weiss retreated to her bed as Blake crossed the room and turned the lights back off. Almost immediately afterward, the lamp on the bedside table was switched on.
Weiss,
Ruby glanced down to the side of her bed.
I'm going to read for a little.
She huffed.
You know, if you want us to keep the light on tonight, you can just say so.
Ruby was instantly silenced when a book was hurled up on her. What? She chuckled to herself as she retreated back to her pillow. You gotta admit, guys, sometimes after doing an epic fic like the one we did a few weeks ago with all the awesome storytelling and the Ghostbusters being awesome and the like, sometimes it's good to just have a simple little fun story featuring a couple of characters just telling ghost stories and having fun with it. Sometimes it's just enjoyable just to see tales that we know in modern times and here in the real world being told as fantasy stories in other worlds. Kind of helps world build a little and kind of helps make it much more relatable. Especially when it comes to this world, which is a remnant, which is a completely alternate planet than us. Although I am going to say this about Remnant. Um, does anybody know when he was alive if Monty was a fan of the Chronicles of Prydain? Because when I heard the backstory of Remnant, all I could hear was, oh look, there's this group of monsters attacking cities. Band of heroes plan to take out monsters. All I can think of is, did the thread come in and I didn't realize it yet? Because I got this dragon I've been meaning to ride and take things out. I say this and I have a feeling that only 10% of my audience will know what the Chronicles of Prydain are. The other 90% are looking at me and going, what the frack is a Prydain? And that makes me sad. Well, still, everybody was a character. Ruby was excitable. Yang was, well, badass. Wise was uppity, and Blake was calm and reassuring. I do love it when short stories just manage to keep everybody in character. My little brother said it once best. Sometimes the fanfic doesn't need to be epic to be good. Sometimes all you really need is just to have everybody in character and just have them be themselves. Which is what I feel like Ruby is really starting to learn how to do. But then again, if you look at it from my perspective, Volume 1 was the beginning. It was the storytelling. And even I'll tell you that Wits was slow to start, despite the fact that I love it so. Season 2 is where Wits shines the best, but Season 1, while not being the worst, is what you need in order to set everybody up to give us the introductions to the characters of Will, Irma, Tarani, Cornelia, and Haylin. Without those, we wouldn't know what it is, so we couldn't appreciate what happens to them later. That's why you sometimes need to learn to stick with something a little bit more often. So that way you can appreciate what happens next. Well, that was one down. That's just more to go. And I've got to make myself a pair of nunchuck bow-staff guns. I'll see you next time. Seriously, can't anybody on that freaking show have one normal weapon?